Good morning. My name is Mayra Pineda, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to our 2020 Hispanic Business and Leadership Conference, Connecting to Opportunity. We are proud of the program we have carefully prepared for you today as we continue to shift and work tirelessly to assist our membership and community by providing tools and skills to thrive. This crisis has clearly stressed disparities that hinder economic development. But our mission is clear, and our commitment is firm to continue building capacity, creating a skilled workforce pipeline, connecting to opportunities, and advocating to ensure the interest of Hispanic businesses is always heard. We will work strategically to build a more equitable community. I would like to thank our sponsors, all leading by example during this pandemic with generous and exemplary actions as we find ways to rebuild our communities together. We are honored with the participation of our accomplished speakers today and also thank them for their leadership in sharing their insight and expertise with us. So now, let's get ready to listen, learn, connect, and send a message of inspiration and a lesson of resiliency. Following up, it's my privilege to introduce a good friend of the Hispanic Chamber and a champion for small business and economic development, the Honorable Don Pearson, who will be joining us momentarily. Thank you. Hello again. So it's my pleasure to introduce the Honorable Don Pearson, who serves as LED Secretary appointed by Governor John Bel Edwards in January of 2016. He has been at LED since January of 2005, and his responsibilities include leading all aspects of Louisiana's economic development efforts, supporting regional and local community economic development efforts, working with elected officials and expanding the state's business expansion and retention efforts. He also continues to play a leading role in coordinating domestic and international marketing missions for LED, as well as managing other special economic development initiatives. Most recently, he was appointed as a co-chair for the Resilient Louisiana Commission in response to the pandemic. A certified economic development professional, Pearson has over 30 years of economic development experience. For 17 of those years, he served as executive director of the Greater Bossier Economic Development Foundation in Louisiana's Northwest region. He was appointed by former Governor Mike Foster in 2000 to the Louisiana Economic Development Council, and in 2001 to the Department of Economic Development Reorganization Task Force. Pearson has served on a number of industry boards, councils, and associations prior to his career in economic development. Pearson served for 5 years as an airborne and Ranger qualified infantry officer in the 82nd Airborne Division. Thank you very much, Don, for joining us today. We're looking forward to your participation.
Myra, thank you so much. And no, we're not having an earthquake here in Baton Rouge. It's just me readjusting to using my iPhone camera to join you this morning. And thank you so much for the honor and the privilege of being here and having a chance to just have a conversation with your membership, which is one of our key stakeholders here. And so we're very pleased to join a very distinguished panel that you've assembled here. So this is the way it goes now. We'd much rather be with you in person, but we're starting to get accustomed to our virtual meetings. And this kind of virtual connection has become, in fact, a very powerful new tool that we're utilizing to get communication and understanding of lots of the opportunities that are available out there. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about here for a while, just sort of maybe to frame some of the issues that this very distinguished panel will, or panels, I think, will continue to kind of do a deeper dive into some of those areas, perhaps. But essentially, I want you to know that you don't have to take a lot of notes as I provide a lot of information to you this morning. Everything's at one note, and that is opportunitylouisiana.com. That's the LED website, and there's assembled a number of microsites that we're going to talk about, and those sites all contain many of the details that I'll be referring to as we progress. So just know that opportunitylouisiana.com will recap a lot of this important information for you and make that available. I think it's really critical that we kind of frame the issues right now. And for us, that's in Louisiana, the tremendous impact and devastation that's occurring relative to our small businesses. Our agriculture sector is doing fairly well. We're doing great in forestry. There's actually an uptick. You see all the home deliveries of boxes that are coming through, and we make a lot of those boxes. So kind of the good news in the forestry lane. Advanced manufacturing in the chemical sector continues at a moderate but acceptable pace. There haven't been big layoffs at the chemical plants. The refineries are having a slower time, but we're confident that they're going to be back at full force in a not too distant future. Logistics, our ports will continue to be not only the way that we move cargo to all of America, but also the gateway to global commerce. And so while we've had some impact on our ports, it's not been tremendously significant. Where it is significant is in that small business sector. Particularly in those traditional areas of retail, hospitality, and tourism. And being in Southeast Louisiana, being in the greater New Orleans area, tourism makes up a very significant part of the economy. So small business assistance becomes a key factor, and we'll talk some more about that. I think it's also to understand that it's important that we take advantage of the programs that are made available to us. That means that to optimize the recovery, the forward progress, to save your small business requires that you take advantage of these tools, programs, and strategies that are available. And I call it maybe as if you were going to the fitness center, you would be doing some reps. And that's something that we'll talk about a little bit more as we go forward. Also, a key leadership role that I'm participating in with my co-chair, Terry Sterling, is with the Resilient Louisiana Commission. The shorthand for that will be RLC, but the Resilient Louisiana Commission's efforts initially focused on helping the administration provide guidance to small businesses about how we safely reopen, how we go from lockdown to phase one, how we go from phase one to phase two, and we're all hopeful of getting to phase three sooner than later. But right now, we're only beginning to see the numbers plateau and fall, we hope, on the current situation. So the important endeavor of wearing the masks, washing hands, social distancing are all paying dividends right now, and we need to not let our guard down, but maintain that discipline so that our numbers can continue to fall and bring us all the things that everybody longs for back into clear focus in their lives. Everything from sports to schools to shopping to church are all being impacted, and just critical that we continue on this pathway to a plateau and actually a reduction in numbers. So let's unpack some of this specifically. Just again, as we speak about taking advantage of the resources that are out there for our impacted companies across the state. And that is the first R in what I spoke to you about, reps, the resources. It's incumbent upon you to go to opportunitylouisiana.com, click on that COVID microsite, and there you will see the federal resources, the state resources, and the regional resources that are available to you. We're very appreciative of the SBA, and I see them on today's program for bringing the payroll protection program to 76,000 Louisiana businesses, authorizing $7.2 billion in capital to these small businesses that can help them sustain through these challenging times. In addition to that, there's the economic disaster injury loan that's out there, and I think we've received maybe another 2.7 billion in that program. So altogether, more than $10 billion authorized to keep our small businesses moving forward during this very challenging time through our partnership with SBA. SBA is our partner at small business development centers across our state. Again, by going to the opportunitylouisiana.com, you can identify your small business development center, and they're doing a lot of work online and virtually these days, as we all are. But you have an entire array of expertise that's available to you, and you'll hear more about that as we proceed today. But certainly we're appreciative of our strong partnership with SBA and what it's allowed us to do in terms of bringing forward some programs that can be of great assistance to our small businesses. Next, what Louisiana Economic Development did was to try to fill the gaps and to backstop the SBA's loan programs. We brought forward the Louisiana Guarantee Loan Program, that is a partnership between the Louisiana Bankers Association, LED, and the LPFA. And through this program, companies in Louisiana with 100 or fewer employees can borrow $100,000 for up to 180 days with no payments and no interest, and then work out the repayment terms on the loan going out 3, 4, 5 years. The banks are going to be flexible with companies that have a flexible use for these funds. Sure, we'd like to see it go to payroll, but it's not necessary. If working capital, if new equipment, if supplies to power your business are what the fund utilizations are, you'll simply work those terms out with the bank, and we don't have some of the restrictions. Perhaps a bar, SBA would not be able to make a loan to them. We don't have the same level of restrictions. We have low documentation requirements. So again, opportunitylouisiana.com, you'll see our Louisiana Guarantee Loan Program in there, and a list of the banks that are participating in this. We were able to assemble $50 million in this pool. We've deployed some of that, but we still have capacity within that program. So again, just a good note to have a way if things are tight and you need to continue to power your business. This is a way that through our relationship with the bank, through LED guaranteeing a portion of that loan portfolio, we'll be able to get some help to you. I hope you're also very much aware of Treasurer Schroeder's Marketplace grant program. Certainly, they're starting to see a fair amount of signups for that program. Again, can be very, very helpful, and would encourage you. You'll find the link to it on our website to fully pursue those kinds of programs and that are available to you. So resources that you are needing are available. Please fully utilize them. We're doing the same thing at the state level. It's up to us to fully utilize the federal programs that are available to us through the Economic Development Administration, that's EDA, which is a subset of the Department of Commerce. The CARES Act allocated $1.5 billion to EDA. EDA is 6 regions across the United States. Our regional headquarters is located in Austin, and we're working not only for LED, but on behalf of various partners, such as the Port of New Orleans and others, to make sure that Louisiana is doing all we can to get those dollars that are being made available through federal resources to Louisiana. We saw where the 8 planning districts were each awarded $400,000 by the EDA last week. That's $3.2 million coming to us. That's very helpful as planning districts play an important role in strategic positioning of the 8 regions of the state. There's other grant applications that we're making, but certainly one that we're pursuing is to get some technical assistance funding, not for LED, but so that we can reach out to organizations such as this Hispanic Chamber and be a conduit of some resources that can help deliver technical assistance to small companies. This goes to the next piece of this reps is to get the last letter, the P, professional counsel made available. It's now more important than ever. When you're well, you don't think about your doctor. But when your business is not doing well, it's important that you have conversations with your CPA, with your banker, with your attorney, or if you don't have those resources available, begin to identify those resources through Small Business Development Center. And we're hopeful that we can amplify the availability of those kind of resources to small businesses through this delivery of technical assistance, because you're in times that you've not been in before. And there are programs now available that weren't previously available. And it's a large enough task to run your business and understand your business and do all the necessary elements of that, and not have to go out and try to understand an entire other universe of programs and rules and regulations and documentation that it takes to participate in these programs. So assistance is there, and really important to utilize it. The E in the reps is to do 2 things actually. One of those is to evaluate. You're going to have to make changes likely to your business. Many have been able to sort of pivot, and maybe you were a restaurant which it was full service, and now you're a restaurant that does largely takeout or curbside pickup. It's those kinds of changes that you need to innovate. And restaurants are just an example. There's many, many other ways that companies have tried to be innovative and adapt to a new marketplace. So that evaluation of your business is very important. And the one that goes hand in hand with that, something that we're very pleased to see this progressing, is the other E is e-commerce. At the OpportunityLouisiana.com website, you'll find access to a microsite regarding e-commerce. It's not been a digital world for many companies previously, but today, when maybe you can't get your clients or perhaps your customers can't get to you, the e-portal is now got a much more pronounced importance to our small businesses. We've identified a number of partners that we're working with, but one of the deliveries is Shopify, and you can connect on this microsite to Shopify, who we identified as a company that does a great job of walking new to e-commerce companies into their digital storefront and establishing their digital presence and making a whole new audience of clients or customers have availability to their services, to their products, to those things that drive their business. So e-commerce becomes another important strategic approach moving forward to help our small businesses, and it's a part of the opportunity picture that's out there that's new. That covers a number of the things that we've been very active on the what I'll call COVID frontier. Certainly in times of crisis, and unfortunately, I go all the way back to Katrina as my first experience in state government with trying to manage a crisis. We were able to reestablish our footing. We were able to get Gulf Opportunity Zone bonds, and we were able to do a lot of things to bring the greater New Orleans and Southwest Louisiana that was hit by Rita at almost the same time, 3 weeks later, back on their feet as well. So this feels a little bit of deja vu, but in a completely different way, obviously now. But the structure is the same. It'll take a while for us to affect this recovery. It will take these external resources that we've talked about that come to us from the federal government, and it'll take a lot of hard work, but we're accustomed to that, and we will be successful with our COVID recovery. And that we'll talk about a little bit more as we speak about the Resilient Louisiana Commission. But the other thing I want to talk about is just for a moment that while COVID recovery is one of our key focuses right now, we've not stopped doing our Louisiana economic development work, wherein we attract companies. We interact with the companies that we have here that we call economic drivers, that are the larger manufacturing companies, mid-sized manufacturing companies, IT and software companies, those companies that have the capacity to grow more rapidly. And so those companies, I'm pleased to say, even with as difficult and as challenging as things are here in 2020, we've secured over $600 million in new investment represented by 35 announcements that we've already been able to have this year. We're conducting virtual site visits. We're conducting these with consultants, and continue to aggressively market Louisiana to the United States and to global interests. We continue to have international prospects that have a great deal of interest in our state. And by having our certified sites and a strong digital presence readily available, we've been able to be successful in speaking with both existing companies seeking expansion and new companies looking for new opportunities in Louisiana, where we have a lot of the things that they need for a long-term successful picture. But we also have a third focus, which is strong on small business. We find ourselves sort of in the right place at the right time, because over the last 4 years, we've put a lot of muscle into building up a robust toolkit for small businesses. And again, going to our website will take you to where these tools reside. But put it another way, last year at the end of 2019, the International Economic Development Council awarded LED the gold standard for the largest markets in what was a small business suite of services. So we've been internationally recognized for how powerful our programs are. So I certainly want you to look into those programs, and where your company may fit, please take advantage of those. What we want is a very strong fabric in our small businesses. I touched on the larger companies, but the larger companies' viability is not possible without a strong small business network to give them the services and the products that they need to keep their plants running and keep their people both safe and well trained and employed. So a lot going on there. Very proud of the LED staff. We were rated #1 in the South last year for in 2019 for our securing projects in our state. So very aggressive elements that went into building our economy. After that, we were recently named as #1 workforce training program in America, our fantastic Fast Start team. That's 11 years in a row. And that's not like shooting a bow and arrow at an archery target. There's a lot of moving pieces. There's all the other southern states that are working hard in the workforce training lane, as we are. And to stay out in front of that pack takes a lot of technology, a lot of forward thinking, and a lot of vision. And we brought that to the table, and that helps us compete for projects. I'm going to wrap up here in a few minutes, but before I do, I want to circle back to speaking a little bit about the Resilient Louisiana Commission. Again, we touched on the idea that their first mission was to provide the guidance to the administration for how to safely reopen. Now we've moved to the second charge for the Resilient Louisiana Commission, which is how do we make our state stronger going forward? How do we build a better Louisiana, not just stronger, but less vulnerable? And so 15 task force reviewed all the different elements of our economy. They all completed lengthy reports. Myra was an active member in this undertaking, and many of your colleagues there were as well. These were public meetings, and they're all, again, at the OpportunityLouisiana.com website. You can click on Resilient Louisiana Commission. Those meeting minutes and notices are all posted there. And those 15 committees all submitted a report. That report gave us more than 500 pages of information of great ideas, strategies, and programs that could help build a more resilient Louisiana. We're coming forward now with the overarching themes from all that 500 pages of information. Can't capture it all. It's there. It's public record, and that appendix is available, so you can go to any one of those 15 task force reports and access them. But the critical elements of what's emerging themes are what we're going to bring forward in a new report very soon. Things such as broadband vulnerability in our rural areas, and broadband adoption are critical issues. Without robust broadband and robust broadband adoption, you can't have e-commerce. You can't have telemedicine. You can't have distance learning. So a very challenging digital desert exists in certain parts of our state, and being cut off like that, particularly in a pandemic, will just drive our rural areas out of business permanently. So we hear this call. There's a number of other themes around healthcare and workforce and workforce training that are emerging in this document that will be issued soon. And when it comes, I hope you'll have the opportunity to take a look at it and get a great understanding. Certainly, I could go on for quite some time. This is a topic I'm passionate about. We've got a great story to tell here at LED with a lot of success. We do. I don't want to sugarcoat it, have a long way to go. The cruise ships are not cruising. Aircraft are not flying. The public does not yet feel comfortable health-wise to be taking vacations and spending their discretionary dollars. So to bring back the tourism industry is going to take some time. We're going to do a lot of reskilling, retraining, and find lifeboat jobs for individuals in the meantime, so that when we are back into the growth zone, we'll be able to recapture the very robust economy that we were enjoying at the end of 2019. So again, thank you for asking me to participate in this program today. Again, a very distinguished group of folks will follow me, and I think your time spent listening, learning, and taking the appropriate notes is going to be very well invested. Thank you for what you do for Louisiana, to all our stakeholders, and look forward to working with you to build our state back to its vibrant economy and setting the pace for the South going forward.
Thank you, Don. Those were wonderful words, and thank you on behalf of small businesses in Louisiana for your work and the work of the LED team, who is always leading and bringing us opportunities for those small businesses, particularly now when it's much needed. So thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you again very soon. And following up, as you know, we have a full agenda with us today, and we have our good friend Mark Madrid, Executive Director for the LBAN, Latino Business Action Network, who is here with a special message for us today.
Hello. Yes, hello everybody to the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Louisiana. Dear friend, Maida and the team, my goodness, what an impeccable time to have a business and leadership conference. I, on behalf of our board and our team and our ecosystem at the Latino Business Action Network, energized to be here and grateful to be here to serve the Latino community. It's the highest honor imaginable to serve Latino and Latina entrepreneurs across the United States and Puerto Rico. So this connection right here and shining a spotlight on the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Louisiana is a great honor. And, you know, Maida, just a message from the heart. You have been a dear friend for almost a decade. And your leadership during a time that is unprecedented, a time that is uncertain, and a time that is disproportionately affecting Latinos and Latinas, your leadership along with the team and the board and your members is absolutely critical right now. So I am today talking about resilience and ganas. Ganas, for those of you watching who don't know what that means, is true grit. And so I'm glad that I'm sharing about resilience today. And Secretary Pearson, thank you for your words, revolving about leveraging resources, gaining access to resources during this time, and the what's next. So I'd like to frame my comments in three parts. The first is I'm going to go personal with you because I think it's pertinent to this conversation. Secondly, I will share national data that pertains to Latinos and Latinas driving the American economy, because I think that's very, very important here as we talk about resilience and ganas. And third, I will share how LBAN is strengthening the United States by improving the lives of Latinos. That's our purpose. And how we're going to do so through the strategic partnership with this distinguished chamber from this point forward. First and foremost, let's talk about the narrative that should not only be reinforced by our community, our Latinx community, but also by the community at large, all American citizens. Latinos are driving the U.S. economy. And I hope I get a orale, dale, way to go, an emoji here, because this is exciting. This is exciting news. If U.S. Latinos constituted a country of our own, we'd have the 8th largest GDP in the world. So I'll repeat that. If U.S. Latinos were a country, we'd have the 8th largest GDP in the entire world. That's based on data from the Latino GDP report. And you can go find that report. I'd be happy to share it with you, Maida and team, with the Latino Donor Collaborative. So in terms of growth, the Latino GDP is projected to account for 24.4% of total US GDP growth by 2020. So this year. And, you know, we are the cavalry, Latinx, the cavalry coming to the rescue of the workforce development initiatives across the state of Louisiana and across this country. In terms of entrepreneurship, and I'll talk about our secret sauce at LBAN here in a moment, but this particular data that I'm going to share about entrepreneurship is very, very significant. And I'm going to share it very slowly so that we can go viral with this statistic that comes from the Stanford Latino Entrepreneurship Initiative. Our organization, LBAN, Latino Business Action Network, is a national 501c3 nonprofit that collaborates with Stanford University to champion the Stanford Latino Entrepreneurship Initiative. And one of our priorities is to fund the most comprehensive research in U.S. history on Latino and Latina entrepreneurs across the U.S. and Puerto Rico. So the last report that was generated that LBAN funded from Stanford we came across this top line headline that growth in the number of Latino business owners continues to rapidly outpace the U.S. average. So let's go deeper. The number of Latino business owners in the U.S. continues to grow significantly faster than the U.S. average. So I repeat with emphasis, and listen to this. Over the past 10 years, the number of Latino business owners grew 34% compared to 1% for all business owners in the United States. 34% versus 1%. That is driving the American economy. And I will also share that report from SLAY, the Stanford Latino Entrepreneurship Initiative. Again, LBAN collaborates with Stanford University to champion this initiative where this research comes out. And in a little bit, I'm going to share a COVID research brief that just came out a couple of weeks ago. So I told you that I was going to get personal. I decided that I was going to switch the format a little bit. So I shared the good news about how Latinos and Latinas are driving the U.S. economy, and they're driving the Louisiana economy. That's why this chamber is so critical. Maida, what you're doing is absolutely urgent, and you're moving with speed, which is so important. Now we get to the challenges of the day, as Secretary Pearson was alluding to, and that this chamber knows all about. COVID-19 has hit home with me. It has been the roughest 6 weeks of my life and the life of my family, the Madrids, in Abilene, Texas. Right now, I'm in Northern California. I'm headquartered here in the Silicon Valley, LBAN is. And in short, COVID ravaged my family. My dad, mom, and sister tested COVID positive. This nightmare started 6 weeks ago. Ultimately, I lost my pillar in my life, my father, my dad. I'm the product of migrant farm workers, a first-generation college student that grew up on a farm. How could this guy, this hombre from the farm, be in this national position today? Educated, first in my family to earn a master's degree. Well, it's because of my father. My father was an entrepreneur. That's why this is not only professionally stimulating and a topic that I'm passionate about, but it's personal. My dad opened his Marcos Madrid Jr. welding service, and he had that for 40 years. That was after his first career, along with my mother, of picking cotton as migrant farm workers in the South Plains of Texas. I lost my father. And there was a moment there when I thought I was going to lose both parents, my mom and my dad, unexpectedly at the same time. And then my sister was positive as well. It was too much to handle. And I'm still processing that right now. What we all need to realize is this pandemic is disproportionately affecting our Latino community. That's the bottom line. And it's also affecting our Latino and Latina business owners across the U.S. and Puerto Rico. So you all being plugged in, Latino and Latina business owners, members of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Louisiana, or those of you who are thinking about becoming members, sponsors of this chamber, you need to continue. Members, you need to renew your membership. Sponsors, you need to up your sponsorship. The work that is being done here is so critical. The research that LBAN funds coming out of Stanford just 2 weeks ago, Stanford Latino Entrepreneurship Initiative came out with a research brief called The Ongoing Impact of COVID-19 on Latino businesses. Why is this so significant? because this is the largest sample size in the United States. 7,000 is the sample size, comparing 3,500 Latinx businesses across the U.S. and Puerto Rico to 3,500 non-minority or white-owned businesses. What did that report tell us? And we're going to share this with you. It's hot off the press. It's only 2 weeks since it's been delivered. So we want you to go viral with that. We want to be in the media because this needs to be covered. In terms of the PPP program, the Paycheck Protection Program, Latinos got approved at half the rate of white-owned businesses. And also, when it came to the amount of funding that was requested and then received, well, relative to white-owned businesses, 3% receive full funding in terms of Latino and Latina business owners, while white business owners receive 7%. So you see there's a chasm there. There's an opportunity gap. Latino and Latina business owners are not getting approved at the same rate as others, and they're getting a lower dollar volume than others. That's a problem because the pandemic is going to be with us for a while. Depending on which report you review, it's here for another 18 to 24 months in terms of economic impact, in terms of impacting our Latino and Latina businesses and small businesses overall. But here's where the resilience and the ganas kicks in. Latino-owned businesses from this research brief, along with the white-owned businesses, are hopeful at about the same rate. They're hopeful that they will be able to weather this storm. That is what we call ganas, resilience, and true grit. That's what you have here at this chamber. That's what you have members and association with this chamber. Through the years of research coming from the Stanford Latino Entrepreneurship Initiative, we have seen that Latino-owned businesses and Latina-owned businesses that are networked, meaning they are formal members of a Hispanic chamber, for example, there's a positive correlation to these businesses scaling. And we define scale as over $1 million of annual gross revenues. Scale in this case is defined as over $1 million of annual gross revenues, which leads me to my third point. What the heck is LBAN doing about these problems, about these opportunity gaps, about shifting the narrative of Latinx driving the US economy? Well, there's a reason that there's action in our name. And I'm thrilled to be part of this network with a dynamic board. It's chaired by Chairman Victor Arias and Chairman Emeritus Jerry Porras. He's a Professor Emeritus at Stanford, by the way, Professor Porras. The dynamic team at LBAN, Jennifer and Elian, and our ecosystem of Latino and Latina entrepreneurs. There's a reason that there's action in our name. I told you about the research, right? And now I'm going to tell you about our scaling program that we offer in conjunction with the Stanford Graduate School of Business Executive Education. It's called the Stanford Latino Entrepreneurship Initiative Education Scaling Program. And it is offered to the top 3% in terms of revenues of Latino and Latina business owners across the US and Puerto Rico. Why the top 3%? Because only 3% reach scale, which is over $1 million of annual gross revenues. So we decided that we were going to improve that dismal statistic. So we recruit. So pay attention, Louisiana. I know you are. Thank you so much for listening. We are recruiting as many scale companies that are Latino and Latina headquartered in the US and Puerto Rico, including in the state of Louisiana, of course. We'd like to see more representation from there. And we're going to ask Maida to help us out with that and her team. But if you're over $1 million annual gross revenues, you're eligible to apply for this program. Let's talk about the impact of the program. Over the last 5 years, we've graduated 654 scaled, mostly scaled. The high super majority of that number are over the $1 million of annual gross revenues. 654 have graduated from this program in 5 years. And combined annual gross revenues for this group is north of $3.3 billion. They're employing over 32,000 across 31 states in Puerto Rico. Of course, if you've heard about me, you know that this team wants to make it all 50 states in Puerto Rico. In fact, we have a big, hairy, audacious goal, a BHAG, that will have 5,000 graduates by 2050, with projected annual gross revenues north of $50 billion, employing over a million. So there's a reason that we have action in our name. And I'll end with this. I'll come back to who put this on in the first place. The Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Louisiana, and my dear friend Maida and her team, the board, and the most important audience that is listening, Latino and Latina business owners in the state of Louisiana. You're the most important part of this conversation. You are why we are in existence. You matter. You matter to New Orleans, you matter to the state of Louisiana, and you matter to this country. Let's not ever forget that. And I'll tell you something about Latino and Latina business owners. They have risen up through every major setback in recent memory. 9/11, Latino and Latina business owners were resilient and rose up. The Great Recession of 2007 through 2009, Latino and Latina business owners had ganas and they rose up. And you all can attest to your weather catastrophes, the hurricanes, Katrina, Rita, etc. Latino and Latina business owners have risen up with resilience and ganas. And I'll tell you something, this chamber, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Louisiana, and the members and the Latino and Latina business owners of New Orleans and the state of Louisiana will rise up again. So it has been a true honor to be with you today. Let's take all these business and leadership takeaways, let's internalize them. I want to encourage you and submit for your consideration with ganas and resilience that with each panel here, that you jot down at least 2 takeaways. You can do that on your smartphone, you can do it on a Word document, you can record yourself, 2 takeaways from each session. And then I submit for your consideration that by the weekend that you execute in terms of movement forward so that you can advance either yourself and or your business. Again, it's the highest honor imaginable to serve Latino and Latina entrepreneurs across the United States. And Maida, I love you and you are doing a stellar job. Thank you for putting this Leadership and Business Conference on today.
Mark, thank you, my friend. What an amazing and inspiring message. We have much work to do, we know that, but with leaders like you, it's going to get done. So looking forward to seeing you very soon, sending you my love and regards always. Thank you very much. And coming up, as you know, we have an amazing panel, and that's our discussion panel, Reactivating the Louisiana Economy Post-COVID, Resilience and Determination. And it's my privilege today to introduce the moderator for that panel, Ms. Candace Waterman, President and CEO of Women Impacting Public Policy. As President and CEO of Women Impacting Public Policy, Candace leads the nation's largest public policy organization for women and minority entrepreneurs. Waterman is a nationally recognized and respected business thought leader whose 30-year industry expertise spans multiple disciplines, including but not limited to domestic and international business certification, diversity and inclusion, procurement, mindfulness leadership, and multi-generational talent and management. Prior to leading WIP, Waterman served as the Vice President and Chief of Staff for the Women's Business Enterprise National Council, WBENC, the nation's leading third-party certifier of women business enterprises for commercial interests and women-owned small businesses for government contracting. During her tenure, her team implemented the digitalization of WBENC's certification program. Waterman has 3 successful companies in medical, real estate, and hospitality industries, and worked as an executive for the Ambulatory Services Division of a hospital system in Michigan. Her commitment to diversity, inclusion, and operational excellence has earned her numerous awards and recognitions as well as a seat on the American Contract Compliance Association Board of Directors and Essence Entrepreneurial Advisory Council for Essence Magazine. Waterman holds an MBA and MCA and is a Tuck School of Business at Dartmouth Fellow. She resides in Washington, D.C., and is also an avid wine connoisseur. Thank you very much. Candace, it's always a pleasure seeing you, and we're looking forward to this amazing panel.
Well, thank you so much, Mayra. I just appreciate you so much. You know, you have become now one of my dearest friends, and I am happy to be here with everyone. I want to say hello to everyone and welcome to our discussion today. As Mayra said, I am Candace Waterman, President and CEO of WIP, that is Women Impacting Public Policy. And it is my pleasure to be here with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Louisiana, and I thank you for having me today. I am excited to moderate this panel of amazing business leaders. I get to be with all of the gentlemen today, so that always makes me happy. And I am going to be joined today by Ed Webb of the World Trade Center, Mark Romick of New Orleans and Company, and Julio Mulata of the Baton Rouge Business Report. Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome, welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I would like to start by saying for each of us, our hearts and thoughts go out to the people who have been affected by our very unprecedented times. We appreciate and thank our frontline workers, many of whom are you all, and we hope that they remain healthy and safe. We also hope that you, your teams, and your families are staying safe and healthy as we practice physical distancing and navigate the reopening of our cities across the country. These very sentiments bring us to the forefront of our discussion today, reactivating the Louisiana economy and post-COVID-19 resilience and determination. Now, we know that the COVID-19 crisis has fueled uncertainty and unveiled peaks and valleys of stability and unpredictability for all of us, particularly for those of us who are business leaders and business owners. Each of us has had to navigate in a very different way on different paths, but with the same journey, and that is with economic recovery in mind. So with that, I'd like to start our conversation by asking each of you to introduce yourselves, tell us about your company and your responsibilities within your organization, because this is really going to put our discussion in context for our audience. Julio, I'd like to start with you.
Hey, good morning, Candace, and thank you for having me here with a great panel. My name is Julio Mulata, and I'm the president and CEO of Louisiana Business Inc., which is a multimedia publishing company. We own and operate several brands, the Business Report, Daily Report, which, by the way, was the very first e-newsletter launched by a business journal in America from right here, Louisiana, 1998. 225 Magazine and Register, as well as others, several other brands that serve several niche markets. We also have a custom publishing division, a content studio, and 3.5 years ago, I launched the Executive Leadership Academy that we do also. And so as CEO, my primary duties are to nourish, grow, and protect our culture, which is in essence is taking care of my people, to set goals, strategy, and direction for our business, and ultimately to allocate the resources, both human and capital, where they're best utilized to meet our organization's goals. So it's a pleasure to be here this morning with everybody.
Well, thank you so much. And I congratulate you for being ahead of the tech curve. And I think I'm going to steal your phrase, take care of my people, but I'll coin you every time I say it.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Mark, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hey, good morning, Candace. Thank you. It's great to be with the Hispanic Chamber for this panel event and to see these great panelists on the screen with me today. So I am Mark Romick. I am Chief Marketing Officer and Senior Vice President for New Orleans and Company. used to be known as the New Orleans CVB. This is the destination marketing organization for the New Orleans tourism industry. We represent approximately 1,100 members, everybody from hotels to restaurants to tour companies to attractions. And our principal job is to create a healthier economy by bringing visitor spending into this part of the world. We operate with a staff of about 65 individuals. We haven't stopped marketing since mid-March, when we all went into our shutdown and stay-at-home orders, because it was important for us to keep the messaging about the greater New Orleans area out around the world. And we've done that through social media and earned media. Our, again, principal role is to compete with other destinations that are enticing people to come and spend their money in those cities. We do know, and we can get further into this later in this discussion, that there will be a demand for people wanting to travel safely. And that's going to be the important underscoring of anything that we do message out, is that it be done in the safest way possible, with the social distancing and mask wearing and all the necessary sanitizing protocols. But that's what we do. We're trying to pull the dollars back into this community and into the state of Louisiana to help rebuild this economy when the time is right.
Absolutely. I thank you so much for that. And I, for one, can't wait until I can come back and listen to some good jazz and go fishing with my friends that I have down there. I just can't wait until that time comes. I applaud you for your efforts and what you're doing. Ed, I'm going to turn it over to you now. Last but certainly not least.
I appreciate that, Candace. Mark, Julio, pleasure working with you guys. Get to know you better. I'm Ed Webb with the World Trade Center. I'm CEO, and we've been here for 75 years. We're the first trade center in the network out of New York City, and proud to be still here serving in the state of Louisiana. Candace, our primary job is to help businesses grow internationally. We serve as a support system for economic development, and work closely with LED and the state, with Geno Inc., Committee 100, and others, to make sure those businesses, small, medium, or otherwise, are getting support and figuring out that this industry, which generates roughly $67 billion a year in sales, and supports over close to 200,000 jobs, right under 200,000 jobs, is being pushed and trained and advocated properly for our businesses throughout Louisiana and the Gulf Coast region. So we mean business, we mean jobs. That's the role of the Trade Center, to help those businesses part of that international marketplace day in and day out, not be just purely domestic, to think outside the universal box, if you will.
Absolutely. And I just want to repeat that number for everyone. You said $67 billion in revenue.
Yes.
That is absolutely amazing. And I have to tell you, I have coined you, since we are doing this together, Mr. International, because you are a humble man, but your knowledge is so extensive. And I just have such great respect for you, as I do all of our gentlemen here on the line today. As you can see, their responsibilities within their organizations and their companies are critical to the community. And so as we talk about the COVID crisis and race relations, it's affected everybody in the world. As business leaders and owners, can you tell me how both of these crises, if you will, has affected your business? And Mark, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Candace. Certainly, I think we might all agree that the hospitality industry on a global basis has been affected tremendously by this in a very negative way. There have been a number of job losses, furloughs, restaurants, hotels, attractions have closed. Slowly but surely, they're coming back, and I think what this challenge has provided us is the will to adapt, because we are all survivors. As it was said in the previous speaker, the resiliency of the people of this nation, particularly those of us who have been through the Katrina and the Rita and the BP oil spill, we seem to be used to being knocked down and now having to come back up. And so I think adaptability has been the key to where we have gotten ourselves to today, because we all know we will come through this. They say that every rainstorm runs out of rain, and I think at some point this will also run out of rain. But we've had to adapt. We've seen operations had to review how they handle their workers and ensure that they're able to bring them back slowly but safely. Again, nothing will be the same. I think we will be better for this because we will be thinking even smarter than we were thinking before.
Absolutely. I think saying safety is key is number one. And, as I think about life, I think about a heart monitor, which beats up and down, right? So if it's all up or all down, you sort of flatline. So I love that you said we know that we're going to come out of this because we have come through Katrina and Rita and now COVID. Ed, I know it's hit you as well, and you are navigating your way through this. Can you talk to us about that?
Sure can. My partner's on the screen. I'm a bit older than you folks. I've never seen anything like this. So, Julio and Mark, I'm telling my age. I've never seen anything quite like this marketplace and this kind of incident with the pandemic, and of course the economy itself. But what we're doing, we're finding here, Candace, with our businesses, is with any kind of situation that's negative and trying to turn that negative into a positive. People are hesitant to either spend money to grow their businesses, to expand the workplace, because obviously they're concerned with sales not coming in or new markets not opening. So for us, the biggest challenge is to get folks to kind of open the door and walk through that concern or that barrier of concern where the economy is headed. And of course, again, the fear factor. And all that does is create, again, hesitancy or uncertainty in the business world. And those things delay, startups, they delay expansions, and they delay even trying to borrow money from a bank. So what we find is that we try to work with our businesses and look at their business plan or their plans to go forward in terms of expansion and kind of nudge them along carefully to make sure they realize they've got a backstop, they've got someone there who has their back that's going to work with them day in and day out, and so we can work through this together. In fairness, it is a frightening time, and it's one of the most bizarre times, again, as I mentioned earlier to you folks, that I've ever seen in my lifetime. But you know what? We're going to take this negative and turn it into a positive. It's a great Michael Jordan statement. And we're going to work through this thing together, and we're going to come out the other side being better and smarter. I think it was Mark that said that it's going to be changed, a different world. And Mark, you're absolutely right. It is going to change for us to what we thought was a new normal. But you know what? We adapt. And we're resilient and we're agile.
Absolutely. I think resiliency is the key. I love what you said about, walking through the barrier of fear, because to be honest with you, that's pretty much the biggest barrier for all of us, which actually starts clearly in our minds, right? And working through that. So I love that. And you are correct. We're going to walk through the barrier of fear into this new normal so that we can be adaptable and be resilient through all of this. Julio, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk to us, from the seat that you sit in.
Yeah, well, I definitely concur with Ed and Mark. We've never seen anything like this, and even though we were extremely resilient down here in Louisiana through hurricanes and floods and BP oil spills, the difference here was that this has impacted everybody, not just in a region or a state, but in the entire world. And I think, for us, I'll talk from two dimensions, both internally and then externally. Internally, we had to really move and pivot quickly. As a matter of fact, over 70% of my workforce are millennials. So they have been pushing me for the last 2 years for more remote work, and now I'm a big believer in remote. We had to shift a lot of our technology investments and capital investments, and so even today, I still have a good portion that works remote. We're getting the work done. As a matter of fact, some of our outcomes are a lot better. I'll tell you the other thing that it's really done, outside of, we're slowly starting to see an uptick on sales, but there was a portion there, and again, I think a lot of people that complain about the government don't give the government its due when it should. I mean, they moved and created one of the biggest packages in the history of not just our nation, but the world, and they moved it out within a couple of weeks, and I'm talking about the PPP, which has helped a lot of us, right? But from an innovation standpoint, we had a lot of projects on the drawing board that we kept saying we're going to get to those. We're going to get to those. Well, necessity is the mother of invention. So we've had to accelerate a lot of initiatives that we were thinking about in the next year or two or three, and we're definitely implementing them now. And as a matter of fact, we're right in the middle of shifting our business model. And since we have different business owners listening, I'll tell you just a quick story in 60 seconds. And that is that in 1999, if you remember, Y2K was going to be the end of the world, the dot bomb. We had a little mini recession. And I remember going to a national conference for our industry and everybody talking about cutbacks and laying off and what they were going to do to survive. And I remember getting on that plane on the way back to Louisiana, and it just struck me, you know what, we're going to do just the opposite. So what we did was we took out a bank loan, we reinvested internally, we moved offices, we invested in technology, because we realized, again, what comes down eventually goes back up. Everything in life is cyclical, has a cycle. And sure enough, in the next 2 or 3 years, when the economy was coming back, we were already ahead of that wave. And so, again, it's been scary, it's been uncertain, it's been a lot of different things. But just as Ed mentioned, we've learned to adapt, and we're excited. We're in the process of launching 2 new businesses right now where we see opportunity in the new world that's coming. Because as Mark said before, it's not going to be the same ever again. So we're looking towards the future.
Absolutely. And what you said about being innovative and thinking ahead of the curve instead of within the curve, it takes a lot of resiliency and thought to do that. And I applaud you as a business owner and a leader for doing that. As you each talk about the narrative, right? The common sort of theme through it all is position and pivot, which is what all of us have had to do. Is we've had to jump through hurdles to keep going or to maintain, right, the stability for those who we serve. Mark, I want to turn to you for a moment, because as I know, your organization in particular, right, has been hit hard during the pandemic. I want to know how you've been able to be flexible and adaptable during these unprecedented times to work through the business challenges as we go into this sort of recovery mode, because we are going to recover.
That's right. Very good question. I think the first example I'd like to give everyone is as we went into our lockdown and we knew that our revenue model had changed completely, we received our opportunity to message and to advertise and to market through a portion of the hotel tax, similar to other destination marketing organizations around the country. So we take those dollars and use it to market the city to get the spending to come into the city. Well, when our revenue base basically dried up because everyone went into the lockdown mode, we had to change some of our relationships with our vendors. One of those key relationships was our social media agency. We had to part ways. We couldn't afford the agency. So we stood up our own social media effort inside our own shop. We had the talent. We rearranged the desk, so to speak. And our basically, to Julio's point, we have a group of very smart and strong millennials who stood up and said, we can do this. And we have basically been running our social media in-house since the 1st of April. They haven't missed a beat. They're active in all the channels, and they're keeping that brand love of about New Orleans ongoing with fresh content. And we're getting great traction on our website. And again, it's so important for us not to go away because they say, and it's true, out of sight, out of mind, we need to keep the New Orleans messaging out there. And so that was probably the most demonstrating way I can tell you on how we had to kind of stand up our own organization and do what we had to do to keep alive, because we didn't have the money to be spending on paid media. We had to utilize our social media services.
Absolutely. I applaud you for the grit, right, that it took to, again, reposition, redesk, right, repurpose the current resources that you had so that it could reposition the business to be the best that you could be. And I have to applaud you because you were doing all of that while still giving of your time from a volunteer perspective. I know you're a huge volunteer in your community. So I thank you for, again, thinking outside of yourself. And so I really thank you for doing that and all that you do for the community.
Thank you. I think sometimes my volunteer work keeps me sane.
I hear you.
Very powerful.
Julio, you are in a really unique position, right? As you help others, right, seize their full potential, right? How have you been able to find the inspiration to continue to help other people pursue their goals and live up to their potential when they're just trying to navigate through these uncertain times? Because I have to admit, even as business leaders, it's hard sometimes. So how do you find that motivation and inspiration to help those others around you?
Well, it's I spend a lot of my time talking about the mindset, right? At the end of the day, we're not positive because life is easy. We're positive because life can be hard. And so, there's two different mindsets, right? There's a fixed mindset, there's a growth mindset, there's an abundance mindset, there's a scarcity mindset. And depending on the mindset that you have, there's a lot of research from the Harvard Business Review to, you can Google it, that really, really, really talks about only a small fraction of companies are able to make a transition and continue to grow and work their way out of crises like this. But it starts with leadership, and it starts with a mindset, and they've been primarily about three or just a couple of things that I've shared with people. Maybe I'll share it with our viewers this morning, because I've never in the history of my career, and look, I've been knowing Mark. He's known me since my 20s, over 30 years, and it's a pleasure to meet you through this panel, and I think we can all relate to this, because I've never seen so much worry and fear in my lifetime. And if you study the word worry, it comes from an old Anglo-Saxon word that means to choke the life out of. And so if all we do is sit in that posture of worry, it literally chokes the life out of us, and it affects us not just psychologically, but also physically. And so I think it's extremely important to remember three things. One is I've been telling my employees, I've been telling my customers, I've been telling my family, watch your media intake. Get your news of what you needed. But if you're sitting there getting from 13 different outlets and watching social media, I promise you're not going to be in a good state of mind. And so watch your media intake. I think it's extremely important. There are a lot more other positive and productive things you can be doing with your time than sitting there being consumed with all the noise that's going on. Which leads me to number two is, I think it's extremely important, right, to control the controllables. We have a tendency to let our minds wander about the things that we can't control. But, we can't control a lot of things. We can control the way our effort, we can control our attitude, we can control how we brainstorm and innovate, and how we look to solve problems. And there's a lot of study that if you're negative and if you're worried, that it impedes your ability to be creative and to innovate. And I think we're living in times, like I said before, necessity is the mother of invention. All of us in our industries and in our own vertical markets are looking for new ways to engage our customers, our clients, deliver value, and be able to monetize those opportunities. And I'll tell you the other thing about looking at look back at the past. We got to remember, we made it through 9/11. A couple of people have mentioned these things. We made it through Katrina. We're going to make it through COVID-19. We're going to make it through, And again, I don't want to overuse the word resiliency, but it is the word of the day. I don't want to overuse the word pivot. It is the word of the day. We got to continue to do those things so we can move forward. If you stop and look at history, which I love history, and I'm a big biography buff, the Golden Gate Bridge, the Empire State Building were both built during the Great Depression. Great things can come out of crises and tough times. And I believe that if we have that type of mindset, we're going to get through it. So I tell myself these things every day, and I try and share with all my friends too.
Absolutely. I love it is. I was just going to say that, right? The battlefield is in the mind, and that's where it starts. And to your point, yes, it's tough. I have this little hashtag that I do it's hashtag positive over negative, because it's so easy to be negative, but you've got to dig deep, right, to be positive. That doesn't mean you're a Pollyanna, It just means you choose positivity over negativity. I choose the glass half full instead of half empty, right? And I love what you said about great things come out of crises. It reminded me of like a diamond, right? And how what it starts with and what it ends at, becoming. And so I just appreciate you for, being motivated while motivating others, right? And it takes a special person to do that. And I certainly, from that response, can tell why you were the recipient of the EA Pete Goldsby Lifetime Achievement Award for all of the work that you've done and for your positive mindset. So I thank you for all that you're doing to help motivate others. And hopefully you're doing that today too. If those of you who are participating with us are hopefully taking notes and getting these words of wisdom from these amazing leaders that we've got here on the line today. So Ed, you are, yes, as I said to you earlier, you are literally Mr. International to me, right? I mean, working in international trade for so many years, your knowledge is, to say it's extensive, to be honest with you, is probably offensive to you. I don't think there is a good word to really surmise what it is that you do and who you are to the international world. But, I want to ask you, right? How have you been able to keep those lines of opportunity connected with your international partners while navigating through doors that today it's open, tomorrow it's closed? It's just this unpredictability. How have you been able to do that to, reach and maybe exceed that $67 billion number?
Candace, thank you for that. Let me first say to Mark and Julio, from this point going forward, I am Mr. International to you gentlemen, okay? I like that.
Got it.
Mark has other names for me, but Mark be nice right now. So we're on camera here. So Candace, that's a great question. And one thing that I'll have to say, and something Julio you said that I really like that I picked up on very quickly, is getting your share of media. I'm not sure you exactly worded that, but getting your daily dose, being careful what you get from the outlets, and that's been our greatest challenge, Candace. And what I've taught our organization, and we had a board meeting yesterday. It was a good board meeting, and I got a wonderful board, but they're a tough board. People like Greg Rusevich, Eddie Hayes, Tom Spears, Stephen Hanneman. They expect a lot. Beth Walker from this organization. But where we had to be really, really careful is we tend to rely upon a lot of the social media outlets. And I love LinkedIn. I love Twitter. I like those tools. But businesses and people need that face-to-face, either be it like we're doing right now through this remote session, and or where it's possible with social distancing to meet with a client one-on-one, because they need to have the real information. And I think sometimes one-on-one, things are better delivered than versus being delivered on a Twitter feed and or a LinkedIn feed, or even through a newsletter. And I've told my staff regularly when we're working with our clients, don't assume they're getting what they need from the daily read. Only know that when you reached out to them on a telephone, phone call, or if you can, socially distance, meet with them safely and in a wise manner, make that happen. But maybe it's boiling down to one word, it's communication. And effective communication. I'd like to get back to Julio and Mark on their reaction to that statement, because I think both you gentlemen, and Candace, you've seen too, some of the reactions we're getting from the mixed media. And that's a problem for us, because we want to make sure that it doesn't skew what they really need, what they need to hear, what they need to know, what kind of action should be taken. And Mark and Julio, do you agree with that comment, disagree with that statement?
Very much so.
For sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and
kind of going back to your point, that's the thing every day, and that's the reason. Again, I'm huge on this mindset. Obviously, in order to innovate, you got to study your market, you got to study trends, you got to look at consumer behavior. And there's only so much, there's just such an amplified, there's so much noise out there. As a matter of fact, I think it was about a month and a half ago, and I don't know if I'm quite there yet, but she's pretty close. I don't even listen to Lady Gaga's music, but she was the one that said social media has become the toilet of the internet, you know, and it's something that I've been thinking about because everybody's spewing and you just got to be careful in terms of your intake, what voices, you know, you're listening, kind of going back to your point, Candace. I mean, the battlefield is really for the mind, right? And so again, and instead of pouring our energy and our efforts into our market segments, into how do we create more value for our customers, you know, how can we expand, you know, how do we take care of our people and some of the fundamental things that we all need to continue to do. A lot of people get distracted, and so they get consumed by that, and it's just a perpetual thing where they stay in this state of mind of gloom and doom, and the world's going to not happen, you know, in the future.
Exactly. You know, I just so agree with you. I have a friend who once told me that networking is very different than net weaving. And what I mean by that is this. Before we were sort of forced, if you will, to slow down, because I actually think out of this bad situation, that is one of the things that's good. It's caused us to slow down, take a breath, be able to have time to look at things very differently than we ever have been. And if we think about it, we were networking, and that's get in, get out quick, maybe having good relationships with just a couple of people. But net weaving is really weaving people into your life in an intentional way and having relationships with them, right? And it sort of goes back to what Ed was saying, you know, taking time to talk to people. In this day and age, we can't be overly communicative with our constituents because they do have so much noise around them. And we do have to make certain that we weave or extract that negative piece out of there and weave in the more positive and true information, right, that we want them to have. So I have really committed myself to maintaining that even as we go out of this recovery, to ensure that I am intentional with my relationships, that I will not go back to everything is rushed. I mean, I just don't think we can, but I think that's one of the critical pieces that has come out of this time is the way that we are able to nurture the relationships we have, both professional and personal, to be honest with you.
Candace, if I can jump right now, I love it. I'm sorry, Mark. Or Mark, go ahead, please.
I was going to say, not every action deserves a reaction. I think one of the things that we've got to realize for our own sanity, and I bring that sanity word back up again, is that there's a lot of noise out there, and you can be sucked into feeling like you've got to respond to everything that you receive. You know, we get criticized regularly because we're doing our job. Our job, we all have a piece of the puzzle here to put into play. Our job is to, in a safe manner, help bring our economy back by bringing spending into our communities. We'll do it appropriately, responsibly. That's our job. But without that, we'll just languish as a state and as a city. There's a fuel that needs to be pumped in, and that's what we do. And we're not going to apologize for that because that's our job, and other people have other important jobs to do as a part of that. But if we kind of reacted every time we heard somebody criticizing us for that, we wouldn't be doing anything.
Still, Candace, I was going to add really quickly, and thank you, Mark. I love your word net weaving. I just wrote that word down. It's an interesting term, and I think you're right on target and hit the nail on the head. With Julio, with Mark, and the folks we deal with Michael Hecht, with Larry Collins, with people we deal with in the state, we've got to be woven into their fabric now. We just can't be shaking their hands and running, because what this has taught us is those partnerships are even more, particularly for this organization, for all the organizations in the state. So when I reach out to Mark or to Julio, it's not going to be just to shake their hand. It'll be, how can we work together? How can I help you? And this won't be a short-term relationship. It's going to be long-term. And that weaving, figuring out what we do best, what our lane really is, that can help our businesses survive and grow and hear the right information and work off the right information. That's falling on all of us, not just one organization. So I like the idea of net weaving because I think what this whole 220, let's take the entire year, has taught us as business professionals is that without each other on the same page and singing from the same hymnal, it's not going to work. It's chaos. We need to net weave.
Absolutely. This sort of our road to sustainability and partnership collaboration is just going to look very, very different. And to your point, it's going to take all of us. I think about the old adage, it takes a village. We are now each other's village, right? Truly. And it's going to take all of us to stay together, to work together towards the common goal. We may, out of 10 points, we may agree on 5 of them or be working on 5 of them collectively. So then let's do that collectively. So guess what? Then that means we really only have to work on 5 points instead of 10 because I've got my partners with me to help me with that 5, right? And so I think having that sort of mentality, and even for our business owners, as you know, we talk from a business leader perspective, we've got lots of business owners listening to us. And so I would challenge them to think in that net weaving way as well, right? Collaboration, joint venture, strategic alliance, and even just think tanks, right? With like-minded folks to give you a different view, to help you through this, not just this tough time, but through life, because life is going to have its ups and downs. Hopefully the down won't look like this, right? This deep again, but it'll have it. And so I implore those who are listening to us to do the same thing and have that same sort of net weaving, if you will, mindset.
That's excellent.
So yes. So as we think about, I'm sorry, did I cut someone off? Okay, I want to make certain we all have an opportunity to talk. This is such a great conversation to me. I feel like I could talk to you all forever. And which I am going to call on each of you when we are done. So you are part of my new net weaving family here.
Good deal.
Right.
Yes. So I want to ask each of you, right, as again, business owners and leaders, as we navigate our way into recovery, what do you think is 1 or 2 characteristics that a business leader, a business owner must have as you navigate your way through this recovery? Mark, I'll start with you.
Thank you, Candace. My sense is that having access to good research so that you are understanding the market, your customer, what they are going to be looking for, because I do think attitudes and needs are changing tremendously. We're doing this right now. We're listening very carefully to the consumer, what their travel trends and proclivities may be. We're hearing through research that people can more likely get into a car and not fly for the near term, and maybe even into 21 and further 22. And so that drive market's going to be in Louisiana to come back as a good travel destination, one that's safe, and people are going to be looking for a safe destination. So that's important to keep in mind to ensure that we're doing the right things to keep our traveling consumers safe. So I think having research at ready, good sources of research that you can get good information, because if you do something and you haven't really thought it through, you're going to get the same result that you got before. So I would say research.
Julio.
Thanks, Candace. I think what comes to mind on that question, maybe 2 things. One is think long term. I think one of our biggest challenges here in America is that we're thinking for the month and the quarter, and in contemporary living, people are always thinking short term, right? But I would say program your business, program your mind, program your life for long term. Think next year, think the next 2 or 3 years, instead of just thinking right this second, right? I know obviously all of us are trying to survive right now, but as you strategize and plan out, think long term. One of the things that when I was younger, I used to look at the quarter and the year. I was obsessed with it. But as I've gotten older, you begin to understand that it's a lot more important to think long term than just a quarter or a year. And I think another thought that comes to mind would be think innovation. I mean, every industry is being disrupted. From higher education to healthcare to the travel and industry to media, every industry is being disrupted. And so, again, look at new ways, different ways. I think this is one of the reasons why you've got to mix your board up if you have a board, your mastermind group, your networking, as you were talking about, Candace. You need different feedback because things are changing real fast, which brings me to probably my last point, which is to stay nimble. Have a strategy and have elasticity in it and be nimble. The pace and the rate of change has never been faster, and I believe with the technology that's getting ready to continue to come our way, it's going to only accelerate. So you need to stay nimble and have the ability to shift and to adapt and to pivot in different ways, not just because there's a crisis, but because the market is telling you to shift.
You're that way. Absolutely. Good stuff. And Ed, how about you?
First of all, Mark and Julio, great comments. In fact, I think you stole about 3 or 4 things I wanted to say just now, so thank you for that. So now I can cut it short. But make a long story short, getting back.
Anything for you, Mr. International.
I love it. Mark, something you just said, and again, the navigation piece from Julio is right on target. And listening, it's so key because you listen first to understand. That's a great Covey comment that we've all heard many times, but it is true. And you research first to understand, to make sure you know where you want to go with your organization. So to me, that listening piece is very, very important to make sure that you really hear what's being said, what's really happening out there, what's really occurring within your business, within your industry. And as suggested, you research and make sure you get the very best research and that you fully understand it. And getting back to Julio's point, the idea of innovating is so critical for us. And in our marketplace, change makes us great, and that's what makes this country great. We're not afraid to change. But one key ingredient for me, and there's so many words been thrown around lately between pivoting, between reimagining. The one word we use here is being agile, along with resilient. But agility to me is very, very key because agility, as defined, means to be able to move and think easily and regularly. And that's what the world of business has come to. It's the world we live in now, this new normal, that if you aren't agile, if you can't innovate, if you can't listen, if you cannot provide yourself get the research you need, you're not going to go to the next level. And I think that whole idea behind the listening, the innovation piece, the idea of being agile in this new norm is critical for businesses. And actually, it's very exciting. These are exciting times. And I joke about Candace as being my big deal, but it's old dogs can still learn. If that's the case, I'm still barking. So the bottom line being is that these are interesting times for us and exciting times, but be agile always.
Absolutely. All of those were absolutely excellent points. And to summarize, right, for the folks listening, because these were excellent points, access to good research, think long term, 2-3 years out, think innovatively and different, and don't be afraid to be a disruptor, right, in the industry or in your industry. Stay nimble so that you can keep up with the change that the environment is going to naturally lend itself to. Certainly accepting change, right? It goes back to what you said earlier, Ed, around walk through that barrier of fear, right? And being agile, so move and think easily and regularly. And I'll just add 2 more to that, and that is thinking big and thinking bold. Don't be afraid. Don't put yourself in a box. Think big, think bold, think past that glass ceiling, if you will. As I say, the sky is the floor, not the ceiling, right? The sky is the floor, not the ceiling. And last, communication. Be communicative and concise communication, and communicate in a way where people understand you and that you are garnering the answers that you want back from them. So I just have to tell you all, I have thoroughly enjoyed each and every one of you. I thank you for your words of wisdom, your nuggets of truth here, being open and vulnerable and having this conversation. And so I thank you all again, each of you, Mark, Julio, and Ed. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you,
Thank you very
Candace, and
much,
thanks.
Candace. You are awesome.
Thank you. And as always, as I do in closing any session, especially during these times, I want to remind all of us that we need to support our local businesses, our restaurants, our cleaners, our gyms, whatever the way we can do that in a safe way, in a physical distancing way, but we've got to keep everybody whole. So that means order a carry out, buy a gift card. If you can't go to the gym right now, buy a gift card for somebody to have some classes when the gym does open again. But let's keep our community and our businesses strong. This is the time for all of us to unite because we have to have that community support. Thank you all again for this session and attending. Thank you to Maida and the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Louisiana for having us, and have a wonderful Wednesday, everyone.
Thank you, folks.
Bye,
Very much.
everybody.
I knew 1 hour would not be enough for this amazing panel, but thank you all for this important insight and great tools and best practices that we all need to put into practice soon. And we'll see you again soon with more net weaving, like Candace said. So now we proceed with our program. And coming up is the Treasurer of Louisiana, John Schroeder. Welcome, Treasurer Schroeder. The floor is all yours, and thank you very much for joining us today.
Minutes to come in and visit and tell everybody about the Main Street Recovery Program. This is a grant program that was created by the legislature that set aside $275 billion for small businesses across Louisiana. We kicked off the program on July 28th. We just hit day 22, and there was a 21-day set aside for businesses that had received no aid. And there's been a misconception that you didn't qualify for the grant program if you had received PPP.
We are having a little technical difficulty with the treasurer's line. He will be back shortly, so stay tuned just a few seconds with us.
All right, they're doing it right now.
Can they hear?
Yeah, I know. She said it was on there. She was on but we should be good to go.
Mr. Porter, we're ready for you. I apologize for the inconvenience.
Oh, that's all right. Oh, we're back. So I'm just going to start from scratch. I'm glad to be here. I'm the state treasurer for Louisiana. I've been charged with handling the Louisiana Main Street Recovery Grant Program here at Treasury. And it basically is a program that the legislature created to help small businesses across Louisiana to get grants up to $15,000. It is a reimbursement program for your costs related to the pandemic and the closures of your businesses. And that's been a misunderstanding. That is you have to be able to show your invoices and you can get reimbursed up to $15,000. And you can also apply whether you had any aid or not. You just have to have more expenses than what you have gotten already in PPP or SBA loans. So as an example, if you got $50,000 in funding from SBA or PPP, and you had $100,000 worth of expenses, then you would have $15,000 eligible to be reimbursed by this grant. Just about any business can apply. You have to have a couple things according to the law. You have to have less than 50 full-time employees. You have to be domiciled in Louisiana. Obviously, your company has to be owned by at least 50% ownership, 50+% ownership of a Louisiana resident. You have to be in good standing with the Secretary of State, and you have to have filed your taxes in either 2018 or 2019. There's some other particular things, but if you typically have those, if you have a fiscal location where you do your business, whether you're a sole proprietor, meaning that if you're a 1099 and you're self-employed, you're technically in business for yourself. So I encourage everybody, if you're in business from a self-employed individual to a company of 50 employees or less, apply. You can go to www.louisianamainstreet.com. We have a call center that is available 7 days a week that can help you through your problems or questions. But we've also recently added something that because the application is a little time consuming, and if you wanted some help, you can now go to your CPA, accountant, or bookkeeper, or some other professional that can do your application for you, and you can claim that invoice as an expense on the grant program. So that has helped a little bit in communication. We have working with the chambers, the Hispanic Chamber, the Black Chamber of Commerce's, just about anybody who's willing to work and give us a helping hand, we're using for outreach. All your expenses generally are eligible. Things like your rent, your utilities, your insurance, if you're a restaurant, any type of personal protection equipment that you had to buy, from plexiglass to registers to scanners, whatever, the little temperature things that you check everybody, all those expenses are eligible. So I strongly encourage you to reach out to other business friends, to your business, to apply for this grant. It's up to 15 grand. You don't have to pay it back. You just have to prove that you're a legitimate business, either by your taxes and some other things. But I wanted to stress, we have a lot of sole proprietors in Louisiana. And all a sole proprietor means is you're self-employed. You either get a 1099 or you run your business and you file taxes under your personal name. So I strongly encourage, some money is better than no money. So do the application. Call us if you have any questions. I'm happy to assist you personally. You can call my office at 225-342-0016. You leave your name, your cell phone number, and I will call you sometime within the next 24 hours. We're here to assist you. Again, I give a lot of credit to the legislature for creating a program, but I also want to thank Myra and the Hispanic Chamber and the other chambers around the state that have partnered up with us to help small businesses. Because as the speaker said earlier, we've got to help our small businesses. We've got to help our restaurants. We got to do what we can, but this could be a little lifeline of $15,000. As I said, it's a grant that you would not have to pay back. So with that, Mara, I appreciate the opportunity to share some news. And if anybody has any questions, they can certainly reach out to us here at the Department of Treasury in back.
Very important information indeed. The Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is working diligently to make sure that small businesses access those funds which are needed right now. Thank you very much for your leadership, and we'll continue in touch and working together to achieve this goal.
Greetings.
O sea que,
Greetings. I am Joe Lawrence, the Deputy District Director for the Small Business Administration Louisiana District Office. The Small Business Administration, SBA, as we are known, is the champion for small businesses. We aid, counsel, assist, support, and protect the interests of small businesses. Simply put, we help businesses start, grow, expand, and stay in business through our non-financial and financial assistance programs. SBA is your small business advocate. Our non-financial assistance includes government contracting, certifications, business development, counseling, training, and management and technical assistance. The federal government spends approximately $500 billion annually. SBA works with the federal agencies to ensure small businesses share in this spend. In fiscal year 2019, approximately $133 billion, or 26.5%, was awarded to small businesses. The certifications SBA offers include 8A, Small Disadvantage, HubZone, and Woman-Owned small businesses, and facilitate these socioeconomic groups' participation in the federal government's marketplace. Management, technical assistance, counseling, and training is available through our small business development centers, women's business resource centers, SCORE mentors, veterans business opportunity centers, and 7J contractors. The Section 8A Business Development Program aids certified small businesses that are at least 51% owned, controlled, and daily managed by socially and economically disadvantaged individuals who devote full time to the day-to-day operations of the business. The 8A firms are eligible for sole source and 8A competitive contracts. As certified 8A participants are certified as small disadvantaged businesses, contracts awarded to 8A firms count toward the federal government's small disadvantaged business goal. The historically underutilized business zone or HubZone program is an empowerment contracting program designed to stimulate the economy in areas of high unemployment and or low-income individuals. This program is race and gender neutral. The small business's principal office must be in a hub zone, and at least 35% of its employees must reside in a hub zone. The federal government's hub zone contracting goal is 3%. The goals of the Woman-Owned Small Business Federal Contracting Program, or WOSB, are to level the playing field for women-owned small businesses, assist federal contracting officers in achieving its 5% WOSB goal, and create and retain jobs. WOSB has two components, WOSB and Ed WOSB. The small businesses must be at least 51% owned, controlled, and daily managed by a woman who devotes full time to the day-to-day operations of the business. Under our capital access programs, SBA guarantees up to 85% on loans up to $150,000 and 75% on loans above that amount. Generally, SBA can guarantee loans up to $5 million as long as SBA's exposure does not exceed $3.75 million. SBA's microloans are available through our micro lenders to whom SBA provides funds to make and service loans up to $50,000. SBA provides long-term, low-interest disaster loans to assist individuals, businesses, and nonprofits in recovering from a disaster. SBA provides bid, performance, and payment bonds to small construction firms through our Surety Bond Guarantee Program. SBA's bond guarantee is available through approved sureties for contracts up to $6.5 million. On federal contracts, with the contracting officer's justification, SBA can guarantee a bond on contracts up to $10 million. The SBA Louisiana District Office is supporting the formation, growth, prosperity, and viability of small businesses. Please call us at 504-589-6685 and let us know how we can assist you. Thank you.
And now we have an exciting component of our program today, our corporate roundtable. As I stated at the beginning, the goal of this event is to connect small business owners to opportunities. And how can we do it? We do it through teaching them how to do business with corporations. And we have some leaders in the community and supporters of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce that are here representing their organizations and ready to tell you how to do business with them. To start off the roundtable, we'd like to introduce Ms. Roseanne Spencer, Small Business Program Director for the New Orleans, Ernest, and Morial Convention Center. Good morning, Roseanne, and the floor is all yours.
Good morning. Good morning. I am so happy to be here. Thank you, Hispanic Chambers, for having me today. And I am excited to attend another virtual business and leadership conference in reference to this partnership. I would like to give a special thanks to Myra for always partnering with the Convention Center and leading us with any of our community opportunities or events that we want to perform or put on. I appreciate your assistance. I appreciate every effort you give to all the small businesses in our community. And I continue to I would like to continue this partnership until we can get the work done. As she stated, I am the Small Business Program Director at the New Orleans Ernest N. Morial Convention Center, where just a little over 2 years, a program was started, the Small Business Program Opportunity Program, was started to assist small businesses with our acquisitions of goods and services and our opportunities, our contract opportunities. This program has since been validated by a policy that governs it, and we are now moving forward with being inclusive on all of our contracts, opportunities, and our acquisition, our procurement of our acquisitions for goods and services. Let me say this. I say that today I was tasked with coming and speaking to you all in reference to the upcoming opportunities and how to do business with the convention center. How to do business with the convention center is very important because there are lots and lots of solicitations that are released, and I don't see a lot of small businesses responding. So I would say the first thing about connecting to the convention center is to go on our website and actually log on and register as a vendor. Our website is www.xhallnola.com. Again, that's www.xhallnola.com. That is the most important thing because by registering your business, you get a couple of things there. Your business is then put into what's called a prospective vendor list. So whenever we're looking for goods or needing a quote, we look at that list for the specialties and vendors that we need and we request quotes from internally. Then when we are doing contract opportunities or solicitations, we actually go to that prospective list as well to solicit the documents too. We send directly to any prospective vendor in our listing that can perform the services that we are looking for. Additional to that, being registered, you also have access to our SEB Connect app. This app is in the palm of your hand. It's a mirror of what's released on our website. So you have the same login information as what's on the website on the app at the palm of your hand. You literally can look at all documentation, exhibits, that's referred to any solicitation that you're interested in. Then we have what's called a small business opportunity program newsletter that you will receive on a monthly basis by being registered in our system. That newsletter is going to highlight small businesses or any current information we have going on at the convention center. But what it's also going to tell you is all our current opportunities, our upcoming opportunities, and all of our most recent awards. So you'll get to see everything that's going internally inside of the convention center. Again, I want to reiterate, another way to get connected is to see a solicitation and actually respond. And I would challenge you to respond timely and competitively to our solicitations and bids. I'm very familiar with the pre-bid process and the bid opening. However, I don't hear a lot of questions when we have those meetings, and I would press upon all small businesses. If you have any concerns or some questions about the solicitations, please ask your questions because we are there to answer and assist anything you need in reference to responding and responding competitively. The reason I stress that so much because I listen and I sit through several meetings, and now because of this pandemic, most of our meetings are virtual. But I sit through 7 and 8 meetings a day, and I hear the pre-bids go forward. I don't hear any questions, and then I see 1 or 2 bids when we have solicited 50 people to respond. So there's a lack there, and I'm not really sure what's happening, not getting a response, but I'm here. You can engage with me. You can ask any questions. I will work hard to find the answers. But we do have real opportunities for small businesses. And I'll just give you a little bit of our matrix from this year. This year, we have 45 new SEB DBE vendors. We have paid over $3 million to SEBs and DBEs. And we have awarded over $5 million in contracts to SEBs and DBEs. So to be very clear, the work is being done. The awards are happening. It's just we want to have more of those. We want it to be where every solicitation at least have 1 or 2 respondents that are our local small and emerging businesses. It's extremely important to us in the convention center to move the needle, to make certain that it's a real opportunity that happens. So every contract that goes out, I review the contract, I set the goal, I actually engage with our partners. I look for new vendors in scopes of work that I don't have vendors in. So we're doing the part internally. We just need you to, one, register, two, download the app, three, respond and ask questions to the bids, and do it in a competitive manner. The last thing I was tasked today to do to tell you about the current opportunities we have. We have two opportunities now on the street. One is for a RFP to provide elevator and escalator maintenance service. The second is procurement of electrical parts. The upcoming opportunity, I'm sure you all know that we have a $557 million capital improvement plan over a course of 5-year timeline. Those projects are starting to ram up and they're going to be released. But again, to be involved in those contracts, you need to register, you need to download the app, and you need to respond when the solicitations are sent out to your emails. Other than that, we do have some upcoming opportunities. The roof replacement is going to be upcoming. Furnace and install the coolers and boilers, coolers and freezers, I'm sorry. Replacement of exterior boilers, and holiday lighting. That's the four that we have now that's projected to come out in the next couple of weeks. If I leave you with anything, I would say I am honored to be here today and continue my partnership with the Hispanic Chambers. And I would press upon you to respond, to respond, to respond. Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much, Roseanne. It's great seeing you, and we look forward to strengthening our partnership and continue to help many small businesses access those procurement opportunities. And coming up, we have Jean-Marc Villain, System Director of Supplier Inclusion and Community Engagement for Ochsner Health System. Well,
Thank you, Myra. I want to thank the Chamber for this opportunity to share with you what we're working on at Ochsner when it comes to supplier diversity. Supplier diversity at Ochsner is part of our overall diversity strategy. And we've been on that journey now for the past 6 years. And that culminated in March with the appointment of a Chief Diversity Officer. My name is Jean-Marc Villain, like Myra said, and I'm System Director for Community Inclusion and Community Engagement. And in that role, I collaborate with the asset leaders throughout the system and finding opportunities to include diverse suppliers in the state of Louisiana with our different contracting opportunities inside the organization. I've been on the job now for about 2.5 months. And unlike my predecessor, what I'm going to be speaking about today has to do with the program as we intend to build it. We are in the process of putting the building blocks for a robust supplier diversity program. And I've been engaging with different groups in the community, including the Hispanic Chamber. When it's completed, all the different business communities of the state of Louisiana will be an integral part of this program. So top of mind has been setting up a roadmap and a strategy for shifting a portion of the spend at Ochsner. Our goal is to leverage the economic assets that we have in this organization and this hospital system, and to forecast and develop opportunities as a matter of course. And so during the first couple months, we've been working with the supply chain area, with construction and facilities, which incidentally has a pipeline of many projects that are going to come in fruition in the near future and throughout the years to come as well. And so we've been developing a menu of different products and service opportunity to share with you. And at the same time, I've been in communications and engagement with the different diverse chambers and to understand the membership and understand the types of companies that we have here. I find this community to have a very vibrant business opportunities and communities and businesses in different sectors. And so we look forward really to and be inclusive and our sourcing strategies. And I would hope at the end there's some time that's allotted for questions of me, because I want to get a feel, and everything I'm doing these days, I'm trying to establish a baseline of what's out there. So a couple of areas that we're putting emphasis right now as it is. One of the key ingredients to have a robust supplier diversity program is in the area of supplier development. So although our first priority is to fill the businesses of actual the business needs of the organization. At the same time, we want to get the input of the different influencers and business sectors and the community. Excuse me. So so understanding the capacity level of these organizations and the businesses that they serve is really an important and key ingredient. Often people talk about mentor protege program as a preferred way to develop a supplier development process. We definitely are working on establishing this, but at the same time, we don't want to be presumptuous and thinking that we know what is best and to developing such a program. So in the coming weeks, we started actually, we've been engaged with a couple of chambers doing focus group and understanding what are the key ingredients and the pain points of the communities, because supplier diversity means something different to a health system and to auctioneer. It is part of our toolbox, if you will, to address some of the disparities out there in the community. And so right now, we are, like I said, working on developing a robust supplier development program, and community engagement is a key function of my job. And understanding, uh, understanding what the makeup of the business community is top of mind, like I said. In addition to the supply development program, this week we're experiencing an important milestone in the development of our program. Obviously, in my role, I'm still in Army of One, so we're still at the infancy of the program. So we partnered with our group purchase organization, which is an intermediary organization that we use to source some products and services. And we've connected with a vendor that's helping us put together our Supplier Connection. Supplier Connection will be the online platform that we're going to use to broadcast sourcing opportunities, RFP. Not everything that we do is going to be through a request for proposal and RFP process. We're a private nonprofit, so we have some leeway and acting very quickly and swiftly and sourcing products and services that we need right away, whether it's an emergency basis or something coming down the pipe, to take care of our patients. That is definitely our first and foremost priority, is to put patient first. So it could be an opportunity, say, to source waste management or a particular service to operate one of our community health centers. And so if it's something that's needed, we would identify the company and onboard them quickly. And so all these programs and pathways to sourcing products and services are going to be evident in the Supplier Connection platform. We plan to roll that out in at least a couple months. We are, even today, actually, I was on the phone talking about this program with our group purchase organization. And so one of the core values that we plan to focus on is really to be transparent in how we communicate these opportunities to the community. And so this platform will also be the way that you can register your products and services. And we're definitely going to put some emphasis on certification. We think that's very helpful, and providing some preliminary vetting for the sourcing team to take action in some of these opportunities. And so those are some of the building blocks that concern your membership, Myra, that I want to put emphasis on. I am totally ready to take on this challenge and for diversifying the sourcing opportunities that we have here at Auctioner. And I plan to be a trusted advisor for the chamber and to really make myself available to come and discuss what's the pathway and how do you connect and access the sourcing team. Notwithstanding COVID, we plan to have some reverse expo um, events in the future where we'll have the sourcing team here, whether it's virtual, and to get access. So your members, the members of the chamber, can have access to the folks and asking us questions about how they can take advantage of some of the opportunities that we have. In the past recent weeks, I've shared with Myra some of these opportunities and products and service categories. And so we look forward to a very robust engagement with your membership. And stand by, and there's a lot more to come. Thank you.
Thank you, John Mark. We look forward to building this relationship and connecting many businesses to the procurement opportunities and just working with you in many areas, connecting you to the community at large. Thank you very much for your time today. And coming up, Anselmo Rodriguez, Manager, Supply Chain Management for Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Louisiana. Thank you.
Good morning, Myra. Good morning, everyone attending this wonderful event. Once again, I'm very honored to participate in this conference that every year shows to be better and better, even in the most challenging times that we're living through. Blue Cross Blue Shield is present in our struggle to go through this crisis, and is being one of the first responders. Our mission is to improve the health and life of all Louisianans, and in that make us part of the first responders to this crisis. Not only in the role of assisting the state in allocating resources through knowledge of analytical data and clinical information, but also as part of our supply diversity, basically to tell the business owners in Louisiana, the communities in Louisiana that we're here with. We're here open for business to continue to bring the economic lifeline to the state. We're serving around 1.8 million Louisianans in the state. That's about 15 of Louisianans. We service them through 9 regional offices since 1934. And again, part of being of mission is also to advance our supplier diversity. Our supplier diversity program encourages contracting opportunities for qualified, responsive, and responsible that reflect our market and customer base. We want our vendors to look like our customers, like y'all. And in that sense, we put a lot of effort and resources in making opportunities available to everyone that is interested in doing business with Blue Cross. One of the big questions that always come up is, how can I, being a small vendor or a vendor in general, how do I find opportunities open at Blue Cross? And to that, the best answer is to network, if you will, NetWeb, has been becoming famous in this event, and actually makes a lot of sense. One of the big things I ask and tell small vendors is to connect it to the many organizations. Is intertwined with a lot of community and business entities throughout the state, through which we facilitate our information so they can actually in turn make it available to their members. And we're talking about, as one of them being the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Louisiana, which is also a member of the Louisiana Alliance for Economic Inclusion, one of the organizations that the state governor of the state of Louisiana have put together to advance economic inclusion. And the Hispanic Chamber is one of the members of that. And with that networking process, opportunities are made available and published. Also, the New Orleans Business Alliance is another entity that we partner with facilitating. So I'm asking it that one way or another, as a small business owner, that you become associated to one or many of these organizations. We talk about the Baton Rouge Procurement Opportunity Partnership, which is similar to the New Orleans Procurement Council, which is a network of public and private large businesses trying to provide opportunities, business opportunity to small businesses throughout the wide communities in the state that live in the state. We're talking about the Southern Region Minority Supply Development Council, the Women Business Council, National Veteran Business Development Council. Again, if you qualify to multiple of them, the more the merrier. We value your certification that you can secure with any of these organizations. Also, a great resource is the Louisiana Procurement Technical Assistance Council and the U.S. Small Business Administration. Those are organizations that in their mission is to facilitate economic growth. We use with them to bring these opportunities to the knowledge of every interested party in Louisiana. Among the members of the Louisiana Alliance for Economic Inclusion, you're going to find the Louisiana Economic Development Department, which advances also the Hudson Initiative or the Veteran Initiative. The New Orleans Regional Black Chamber, of course, the Hispanic Chamber that we hear today in this event. The Asian Chamber of Louisiana, the one from Acadiana, also the Strategic Action Council, the National Association for Women Business Owners, the Asian Chamber of Commerce of Louisiana. So all these organizations are partnered with us in this process, and through them, I always encourage any vendor that can bring a network relationship with any of these organizations to maximize that and leverage their services. When it comes down to what's important for how to get ready for a bidding opportunity with Blue Cross, a lot of people ask that question: is what do I need to do in order to be ready to be able to win, to participate and to win into a bidding opportunity at Blue Cross? The first thing you got to do is be competitive and keep carrying of changes. And one of the big requirements is that you need to be in a space that you have a competitive advantage. Monitor your emails, newsletters, social media. In other words, be in the know of what's going on around us. Communicate promptly and accurately. Follow instruction carefully. A lot of vendors have issues with this particular case in which the instructions are clearly stated by the sourcing professionals, yet the instructions are not strictly followed, and sometimes some of those rule-breaking instances might disqualify vendors for continuing going forward. So it's very important that you respond, that you communicate accurately, that you follow instructions on the communications. Know your strengths and weaknesses. Promote your strengths and supplement your weaknesses either through partnership or strategic alliances. Develop a clear and concise document explaining your capabilities. We need to know what is it that you do the best. What are those instances in which you are set apart from the competition? Why sourcing professionals should be looking at you as a solution above the rest of your competition. Network to identify trends and opportunities. Secure as many certifications as possible. I can't understress this. The more you get technical certifications, security certifications, safety certification, sanitary, regulatory, even diversity classification, legal classification, all of those are very important for a sourcing team. It is sometimes it makes the difference between make and break, because when you have a very competitive bid, a certification proving your capabilities and your capacity might be what breaks, what is tilt the plane towards your company. And most of all, respond to bidding invitation. Regrets are as important and interest to bid responses. What that means is basically send an invitation to you as a vendor. We're hoping that you participate. But if you ignore our communication over and over, whether because you feel you can't fit or because whatever other reason, eventually our sourcing team is gonna feel that you're not interested in doing business with Blue Cross. So it's very important, and it doesn't take any away from the merits of the company when you respond and say, I'm gonna decline to participate in this one because it's not a good fit for us. But at least we know, we hear back from you. That's very important. As far as what type of goods do we purchase at Blue Cross, we purchase paid about it. We support about 2,000 people that support the operations throughout the state. So everything that a company that would have around 2,000 people would need, we need. We're talking about paid equipment, networking, maintenance and cleaning supplies, promotional items, packaging material, all those things that, it's regular stuff for back office. Also, on the services side, we have opportunities in lawn and on landscaping, engineering and architecture, cleaning, consulting. This is a big category for us. Whether it's information technology, whether it's financial, actuarial, health, legal, compliance, marketing, human resources. Remember, insurance is a highly regulated industry, so we do have a lot of consulting needs. And also because of the changes in the political environment, the regulatory environment, a lot of these ways to keep on changing. So consulting into compliance plays a big role. Buildings, maintenance services, temporary help, printing services, advertising, radio, TV, printing media, travel services, courier and delivery services. All of these are part of a bundle of services that we usually promote opportunities about. We come down to management has certain requirements, and one of them has to do with insurance liability. Our limits is around $1 million. Error and omissions about $5 million. Digital technology and professional liability about $5 million. Cyber network security liability $10 million. Commercial general liability, contractual liability about $1 million for certain. And of course, if you're going to be operating automotive, any auto or driving fleet, comprehensive automobile liability in Louisiana minimum is required. Now, note that all these requirements are bound to be subject to negotiation depending on the type of service offered. Of course, if then it's a smaller engagement, we might necessarily need the high level of liability. Nevertheless, these are the standards. But again, the specific risks will dictate how we could negotiate those limits.
Thank you, Anselmo. What wonderful information you are sharing with us today. And we know many of those businesses are eager to start doing and connecting and taking advantage of those opportunities through Blue Cross Blue Shield of Louisiana. So now our next participant is Ms. Tiffany Carter, Director of Procurement for the Port of New Orleans. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mara and the Hispanic Chamber of Louisiana for again inviting us to participate in such an important effort in this region. My name is Tiffany Carter. I'm the Director of Procurement here at the Port of New Orleans, and we are excited to be connected with you once again. Sharing, I'm trying not to repeat because I've heard so many good things from our resource partners at Ochsner and of course our neighbors at the Convention Center and Blue Cross. I'll try not to duplicate, but I do think that what Ms. Rashawn Spencer shared is probably the same, very, very similar sentiment here at the Port. We have a number of professional service offerings, goods and service offerings, and construction offerings, and we too are looking forward to more small business engagement. Not to say that we haven't been active. We're happy to report since 2016, we've done over $12 million in small business spend. Just this past year, our fiscal 20, we did $1.8 million, which we were super excited and very proud of the effort because we do recognize, and we made a big full court press to make sure that small businesses were engaged with us when it came down to, of course, supplying PPE needs for our employees because we are considered essential. The port did not close when many companies were able to work from home. We are 24-hour, 365 business, so having masks and sanitizer were very important. So we overturned every stone to make sure that we intentionally purchase those very important items from small businesses and local businesses, and we're very proud of that effort, and we're glad that that $1.8 million reflects our effort. Talk a little bit about what's coming up on the horizon. We have several services contracts and professional service contracts that are available on our website, and our website is at www.portnola.com under the procurement page. If you haven't already, we invite you to visit us because it's very important to fill out the procurement vendor form. It takes about 2 minutes, but it is the form that we use to update our procurement vendor listing. That listing is extremely important, especially these days when we get quick requests that we have to turn over very quickly in response to our project manager's request. I do invite you to be very specific for completing those forms. If you provide a certain type of pencil, I need to know that you provide red pencils, and everything else that you're able to service or supply, because it becomes very important for us to know the details of everything that your company offers at the times that we do need to respond very quickly. We also use that list to update our targeted bid notice list. That list is used when we do have public bids that are advertised through the general public, and we submit an email to you letting you know, hey, there's a new opportunity that fits your capacity and it's available online. So that's a courtesy that we are very proud to offer. And again, the more you tell us about what you are able to supply, that's when we will make sure that you receive those targeted bid lists. Rather than encouraging you to look at us daily, we recognize how important it is for you to spend time doing your work. So we make sure that we're hoping to send the most important information to you to maximize your time and effort and interest in our business. On the horizon also we're going to bring back the 30-minute Thursdays. Those are one-on-one opportunities to meet with us individually to tell us a lot more than what's on paper. We're hoping to bring those back in September. So please, you certainly can email me at tiffany.carter@portnola.com if you're interested in having that scheduled within September and October. We are also looking forward to hosting an open house, of course, when things are safer for us to be together here at the port to talk about our 2021 projects, to give you a highlight of the big things to come. We are also talking about we are celebrating 125 years at the Port of New Orleans next year. We have a number of events and things planned, and we're going to need vendors and suppliers of all kinds to help support those very important celebrations to come next year. So please, again, when you fill out the vendor forms, please be very deliberate and tell me if it's supplies for tables or it's AV needs, services rather. Please, and we encourage you to tell us, because we're going to make sure that we spend a lot of the resources and efforts with our small and local companies. We do not certify here at the Port of New Orleans. We do offer reciprocity to those companies that are SLDVE certified, as well as certified through the state and federal SBEs. We also make sure that those companies that are certified are recognized when scoring professional services. We do have incentive points offered for those small companies that subcontract with our professional services on proposals, and we're very proud of that, and we've seen a lot of success with that effort. We also have a wonderful partner at the New Orleans Public Railroad, New Orleans Public Belt. The name is changing soon, forgive me. I'm trying to train my brain for the new name. Our partners over at the Belt are also in the same procurement needs, supplies, goods and services, and professional services. And that website is located at www.railnola.com. Same partner steps. Please fill out the procurement form on that page as well. Rail industry is very unique. but it doesn't, please don't discount that we also need everything from administrative building needs. We have a little bit over 200 employees over at the Belt that need everything that we need here. So we're looking forward to sharing more updates with you as the days come, as we forecast our 2021 plans at the Belt as well. I want to duplicate Rashawn's statement about making sure you ask questions. We are here to engage with you. We have a staff of 5 here at the procurement team for both agencies. So please, if you see a project that you're very interested in, but you have questions, please take advantage of contacting us at procurement@portnola.com and vendor info at railnola.com, and take advantage of the opportunities to connect and really help let us offer clarity to those projects. Mara, we are so excited to again see you and to see your members. And we look forward to having all those vendor forms filled out today and connecting with you all in the very near future. Thank you, and everyone stay safe and happy.
Thank you very much, Tiffany. And we've certainly seen those efforts of trying to connect with the Hispanic community and Hispanic business owners. So we will continue to work together to achieve that goal. And last but certainly not least, a good friend of the Chamber, Rivers Frederick, Manager, Supplier Diversity and Development for Entergy, is here with some great information regarding Entergy.
Great. Thank you, Amara. Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak with you and your members today. It's great learning more about the wonderful things our peers are doing in their organizations. And like Tiffany, I hope I won't be too repetitive there. So this morning, I'm going to tell you a few things. I'm going to give you let you know who Entergy is, talk about some strategic initiatives that are taking place. We'll talk about some opportunities taking place this year and beyond. Some basic requirements, and then the next steps. What do you do next to take advantage of those opportunities? So I'd like to give the overview of Entergy because everyone knows Entergy in New Orleans, but it's a much larger corporation than just New Orleans. So Entergy started about 100 years ago in Arkansas. Harvey Couch was the founder, and he approached a local lumber yard about purchasing sawdust. And he was going to use that sawdust to generate electricity. And for most of those years, we burned something. You burn sawdust, we use coal or gas to generate electricity. But the message is things are rapidly changing today. Today, Entergy is an electric power generation company with about 3 million customers throughout Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Texas. We've got about 31 power generating facilities and about 15,000 miles of transmission lines. So we have pretty large corporation there. Strategic initiatives. So all of our initiatives really center around increasing reliability and increasing efficiency. So on the power generation side, we completed a few new cleaner power plants in New Orleans and Destrehan. We're near completion on one in Lake Charles, and there's one under construction in the Houston area. We're pleased to report on the New Orleans Power Station, we spent over 37% of the expenditures with local and diverse firms. But that was a good win there. Another initiative is our solar portfolio. We've got about 2,000 megawatts of solar projects that are currently being developed or in the planning stage. That includes 2 solar farms in New Orleans East, and we have a residential and commercial rooftop program that's also growing as well. And then on the distribution side, we're investing in projects to improve the reliability there as well. Many of you may already have your smart meters, and there's other upgrades taking place to improve their reliability. So those things are fine, but where are the opportunities for the chamber members? Much like our peers, we spend money on a lot of different things to run the business. Annually, we spend about $5 billion. That's a lot with a B, $5 billion to run the business. And there's a variety of opportunities, but the biggest opportunities are in a few key areas that I'll kind of focus on. General construction. So we're constantly maintaining our buildings. We want to ensure that they're safe and functional for the employees. So there's a lot of opportunities that some of them may be somewhat small, a small renovation up to larger renovations. So that's a great opportunity there. We always look for suppliers to support the core business. So that means industrial maintenance, industrial construction firms for the power plants, electrical construction firms that can help with transmission and distribution lines, always has project work available there. And one of the growing areas is really in the renewable space. So we're adding solar panels, we're looking at battery backup systems, generators, electric vehicle charging stations, lighting. There's all opportunities in those areas for local suppliers. One area too that you may or may not know, but Entergy, we maintain an energy efficiency program, which we come out, we'll do an energy audit, make recommendations to improve efficiency, and in certain cases, there's funds available to pay for those recommendations. But for the recommendations, we use local suppliers. These are companies that may do HVAC work, installation, those kind of opportunities. And frankly, we need more diverse firms to participate in that program. So if you're interested in providing those types of services, visit the Energy Smart website, register as a trade ally. So that's the Energy Smart website, and register as a trade ally to take advantage of those opportunities. So now let's talk about some basic requirements. We operate in a dangerous industry, so the safety of our customers, employees, communities is of the utmost importance. We have very stringent safety requirements, but some basic requirements are that have to be in business at least 3 years, no OSHA series violations in 3 years, and no fatalities. We do require contractors to register in a third-party portal that's managed by Avetta. And some other requirements that could include cybersecurity requirements, some financial stability, and some other corporate experience, some basic requirements there. So, understand that oftentimes we're really actively trying to reduce the number of companies we're doing business with. So it's important to really differentiate your firm from your competition. And then let's talk a little bit about next steps. So, in this environment, in this COVID environment, we understand that small businesses, and particularly minority-owned businesses, have really been impacted. So we know there's a lot of resources out there. So to guide those firms along, we've got a website we created to put all those resources there. That website is entergy.com/COVID-19/NOLA resources. You can Google Entergy COVID resources, and you'll see that website. A lot of useful information, a lot of resources there. There's some resources available to small businesses to help with utility bills. That's all available on that site. One of the first steps would be to register. Visit entergy.com/supplier registration, and that's where you can register. Be specific about the products or services you provide. I've heard this more than once from our partners at the port and with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Don't just select all the products and services. Sometimes firms think that's going to provide more opportunities, but it actually backfires. So be specific in those products and services that you can provide. Be sure to indicate if you're a diverse, women, minority, veteran-owned firm, and a copy of your certification. It's really important. We want to make sure that the firms are classified appropriately. Keep your certifications up to date. It can take some time for the right opportunity, and the last thing you want to have happen is that the opportunity arises and then you're not ready. Your certification has lapsed or something like that. So be sure to keep those up to date. And then lastly, there's a term I like to use is we want you to be patiently persistent, right? Sounds kind of oxymoron there, but things can take a while to happen. Most of our agreements are 3 years. So we may meet you and we just sign an agreement, so there's going to be time before the opportunity arises. So keep in touch, be patient, but be persistent, stay in contact, and eventually those opportunities will arise. So for any questions, I gave a lot of information out here. You can reach out to the supplier diversity team. There's a website, external website with all the things that I mentioned here, and then there's contact information there as well. And that is entergy.com/supplier diversity. So that really
Rivers,
concludes my presentation.
Rivers, thank you
Mara,
so much.
thank
Always
you.
great information. And we look forward to having our usual in-person trade show next year. But this is what we needed to do this year, and I think we've accomplished our goal. So thank you very much for participating today.
Thank
Look
you.
forward to seeing you soon.
The Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses Program is a guide that will help you grow your business.
The networking through the Goldman Sachs program is something that you cannot buy.
Through the program, you meet other people that have the same challenge that you do, so you don't feel alone.
You meet other local businesses that you can share your thoughts, feelings, issues, problems, and how you work through those problems as a business owner.
Networking, to me, is one of the most important ingredients for success in a small business. The network that I've developed through Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses has been extraordinary, not only for leads for my business, but also for companies that I have partnered with.
Before the program, you thought another restaurant owner was your competition. But then once you start sharing and networking, you realize that everybody has the same problem. They're just twisted a little different, you know?
To get the opportunity to sit in class with 29 other entrepreneurs, pushing back on your ideas and showing you where, hey, you may be a little weak here. Maybe you can refine this here. Where do you see the weakness? Where can I help you?
There's a comfort working with someone who has gone through the same program as you. We're all on the same page, and it's a wonderful working relationship.
Since the program, anytime I need something, the first place I look is my book to see who else I can call that provides a service or a business that I need.
I do business with 12 people from my class. And I also do business with other people from other classes.
Teresa Lawrence with Delta Personnel and I have been working together. She's got a labor force and we contact her when we need additional laborers. And it's a wonderful contact to have that person you can reach out to and say, hey, I need help.
Barrett Wiley with Cleaning Concierge actually cleans our offices.
Our pest control is done from another small business that was in the program with us, and sometimes I do my hair from with Mandy, which she was in the program too. So
I'm working hand in hand with no less than 10 of my classmates. Comex Construction, XS Martial Arts Dojo, Demo Diva. We formulated relationships now to where it's really not even about pricing. It's just about, I'm going to support your business because you're supporting my business.
The trust level that you build with this network of people that are in your cohort is inseparable.
Hi, my name is Riza Petrie, Corporate Vice Chairwoman of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. On behalf of our Board of Directors, I would like to thank each of you for participating in our virtual Business and Leadership Conference. We are so proud to have brought together such an amazing group of speakers, and we hope you have each gained insight into ways we can work together to reactivate our economy. We can't wait for the day when we're able to see you in person, but until then, take care and be well.